Hello everybody, welcome to my first video. My name's Jonah. I'm the coach of the Old Razzle Dazzle, and today we're just going to be going through a quick little roundup of round two and how my team got along during that round. As you can see there, my overall ranking is 2014. At one point during the round, actually before the last game was played, I got up to rank 77th, which is just ridiculous, and I don't think I'll be that high again all season, but it was good to see while it lasted. Um, yeah, as you can see, I scored 2,202 points, which is pretty decent. Probably on the top end of things, maybe just above par. Um, so yeah, we'll start in defence and we'll look at Lockie Whitfield. He only scored an 88, which is a little bit underwhelming. Um, yeah, look, he's only averaging 78 for the season, and given he played with Richmond and had a good amount of time on ground, I would have liked to see that 88 maybe be a bit higher, um, especially for his price and what we know he can do. We're probably wanting him to score over 100 each week, so anything below that's going to be a little bit disappointing, but at this stage, we're going to want to hold our premiums because it's too early to actually get rid of them. Um, and it might cause a few more problems down the line. So right now, we just want to focus on getting those right rookies, getting the lowest break evens that we can in our team so we can generate enough cash to upgrade later on in the season. So for now, we'll keep Lockie Whitfield and we'll just keep our eye on him. Moving on to Jaden Short, it was really good to see him bounce back with 131. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, after scoring a 68 in round one, this is exactly why you hold on to your premiums because you never know what they're going to pop out, and more times than not, they're going to reward you for holding on to them. So yeah, 131, just huge to see. And we love that 10 marks is amazing. Obviously, that's not going to happen every week, but he does take a lot of the kick-ins, which usually boosts his score. So, although 131 isn't going to happen every week, we can expect, between the 90s to the 105s, I would say, from Jaden Short. So, definitely in contention for being a top six defender. George Hewitt. So, he was everywhere. I watched the game and he was getting the ball so much. He had over 30 touches, but if you look at this, he had 27 handballs. That is ridiculous. If he can just turn some of those or half of those into kicks, I mean, that score would have been much bigger. One mark isn't great either. Three tackles, okay, but we probably want to see a little bit more than that as well. So if George Hewitt can just tweak a few things in his game, he can be pumping out scores that can be in contention with those top six defenders. So for his mid-price starting price at the season, look, he's doing great. So we're going to keep him in there, and I think he's going to go huge for us this week against Hawthorn. I think they're versing, aren't they? Yeah. So we saw just what the Port Adelaide boys did to them on the weekend, and that was ugly. So we think George Hewitt's going to do quite well this week. James Sicily, 79. We can't complain with that. He gets high time on ground, which is huge. After pumping out a 96 in his first game for the season, he kind of regressed a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. With Sicily, we're probably only going to get 75 to that 100 mark. So we can't complain. And every now and then he can pump out a big score too. We have seen him pump out 120s in the past. So just having that ceiling in your defense is always good to have. His break even's only 46 as well, so he's going to make some more cash. So we'll keep James Sicily in the team. This is a guy that I brought in actually beginning of round two, Luke Foley. After seeing him pump out 100 in the first game, I thought, wow, that's huge, right? He's took 8 marks He laid a few tackles and he's got over 20 touches. Um, that's quite amazing for a defender. However, it wasn't just those stats that impressed me. It was his high time on ground. As you can see there, he's had 95% time on ground in the first match and then 93% against the Roos in round two. And that's huge. Um, Obviously, West Coast have a depleted team at the moment, but with his break even being so low at 14, Luke Foley is going to make you cash, and he's got the potential to score quite big. Not only that, but we see in round two he actually gave away 4 free kicks, and that's minus 12. So his score could have been 86 just if he hadn't have given any of those, and that's ridiculous for what you're paying for him. So Luke Foley, I think, is a great option, um, especially because I traded Malira to him. So I think at the time it was only like a $20,000 difference, and um, yeah, it paid well for me in the end. So Luke Foley will keep him in the side this week against the Dockers, and we'll see what he can do. But um, yeah, really pleased with his 74 on the weekend. Moving into D6, we got Paddy McCartan. I mean, how good is he? He had something ridiculous like 34 points in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure, and another one of those guys who gets high time on ground and he can take a lot of good marks, as you see there. He's taken 15 marks in the first 2 rounds, so that's huge. If we can just get him to maybe lay a couple more tackles, we're gonna be very happy with that. So at D6, he's safe to play on field. His break even's 8. He's gonna make some cash, and we love that. On the bench here, we've got Sam Skinner, and uh, his job security looks okay with Alira out. His scoring wasn't huge. He scored well in the SANFL last year, so let's hope he stays in the team for Port Adelaide this week, and we can get a bit of a higher score out of him. But you never know. Sam De Koning, on the other hand, he should come back into the team for Geelong. I think he was out in round 2 with a concussion, so he should be back in the team and hopefully can make us a little bit of cash. His break even, however, is 29. Okay, so it's not too bad. He should be able to outscore that quite fine. Moving on to the midfield, we start off with Jack McRae. He scored 103, so it wasn't too bad. Obviously, for mid primos, you always want them to score 100. So maybe perhaps could have wanted a little bit more from him. He's still got over 30 touches, and his marks and his tackles weren't really there during the game, and he gave away a couple free kicks as well. So hopefully he can bounce back this week against the Swans and get us a 110 plus. But he's a keeper, so we're just going to leave him there and let him do his thing. Next is my captain that I had this week, which was Oliver. So he pumped out a 120 against the Suns. Had huge time on ground, 89%, 34 touches, and just did his thing. So very pleased with Clayton Oliver. He was sort of my unique pick in the midfield, and he's proving to be quite a nice little pick. So quite happy with that. And then we move on to Lachie Neale. So with 145, it's just massive. 118 as well the game before. It's huge to see. So we're just gonna keep him in the team and let him do his thing. If you don't have Neale, I would highly recommend him. I think he's pretty underpriced, even at that 854k mark. If you have a Merritt, maybe I would go to him. We know Merritt's going to be out for a while now with his injury. So yeah, he's a good option to bring in for Merritt. Moving on, Patrick Cripps, very underpriced at the moment. I mean, for what he's done, it's huge. I mean, we know he's a bit of a beast in that midfield, and just with all the help he has now with Walsh, Chera, Hewitt, Kennedy in that midfield, it's really taken his game to a whole nother level. And it's just great to see that he doesn't have to carry that Carlton midfield on his back by himself anymore. He's coming up against Hawthorn, which is a really easy team for midfielders to score against. Sorry, and I think he's just going to go huge. So we know he can kick a few goals, and we might see that again this week. So he'll be staying in the side firmly in M4 for a while, I think. Moving on to Matt Rao, very disappointing. He only scored a 46. And that was because he got asked to sort of run alongside Petrarca and Oliver for a while. I don't think that's going to happen again. He gave away 5 free kicks. Again, I don't think that's going to happen again. So against the GWS Giants this week, we should look for him to bounce back. So if you're looking to get rid of him, I would maybe just be wary, hold on to him. We picked him, at the start for a reason, and we know what he's capable of. We're not expecting him to go out there and score hundreds every single week. We've got to remember that in many ways he still is a rookie. I know that sounds crazy, but he hasn't played a lot of football at the highest level. So we've seen what he can do. He's a gun. Let's just keep him in the side for a little bit. Moving on to the 3 rookies here in Nick Dacos, Jason Horne-Francis, and Josh Ward. I mean, they're all outstanding, aren't they? They're all safe on field, and they're all going to do, reasonably well for you each week, especially with Dacos and Horne-Francis. Josh Ward is a little bit iffy. As you can see in the first round, he scored a 41, which was a little bit, I don't know, scary to see. So just keep your eyes on him. He's a bit of a gun though, so the Hawthorn boys love him. So we're just gonna keep him in there. Connor McDonald's another one on the bench who also scored a nice little 66 to get that cash gen going. With his break even at 4, he'll make a bit of cash, so we'll keep him there, and we'll probably put the emergency on him this week, depending on what we do with our trades. Brady Huff, I think that's how you say his name, or Hugh, not quite sure. This young West Coast lad had COVID, I believe, so he should be back in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully back this round. If he gets selected, then we'll just leave him on the bench. But if not, we might look to trade him out. Moving on to the rucks. Look, this is a tricky one. Max Gawn scored back-to-back 79s, but as you can tell, it is a little bit concerning, isn't it? The first week he gave away 6 free kicks, and you thought, wow, look, that could have been a 120. But then he versus the Suns, and you expect him to go that 120, and then he pumps out another 79. He dropped a few marks, and apparently it was pretty dewy up there on the Gold Coast, but I don't know. It's not a great look with Luke Jackson in the team, and his break even is 143. It's huge. So he can score that, which is the crazy thing about Gawn, but with Luke Jackson in the team, it doesn't look like he's going to. I still think he can be 100 average, and I still think he'll be in the top 2 rucks at the end of the season. So it really is up to you what you want to do with Max Gawn. I think I'm going to hold on to him unless Bruce gets named as solo ruck for the Giants, and then I could be inclined to do that. But we'll talk about my trades in another video. So Gawn, at the moment, he's staying in my team. I'm disappointed, but I really do think he can bounce back, and we'll just have to hold on to him because we chose set and forget rucks at the start of the season for a reason. To trade them out now is locking in those bad scores, and we don't really want to do that, especially given the situation that we have for rucks. We don't have many good ones. We've got a few ones, maybe like English, but if Steph Martin comes into that team, it's looking a little shaky. We've got Wits, but we're not sure about how his knee's going. He's been looking good, but I don't know. He's getting older, and we can never be too sure. So let's just keep with Gawn for a moment and see what he can do. So moving on to Brodie Grundy. 82 is not fantastic either, with a break even 133. I don't know. I remember watching him a couple of years ago, and he just looked like another midfielder. in that Collingwood lineup. But I don't know, he just doesn't look as hungry for it anymore, which is a little bit concerning. But we'll keep him. I mean, it's Brody Grundy at the end of the day. It's the ruck pig. I think he still will be a top two ruck, and we just got to hold on to him. And he might pump out a huge score this week. We never know. I mean, look what Jaden Short did in comparison to round one. So that's, like, as I said, that's why we hold our premiums. Jack Hayes has just been fantastic on the bench, getting a load of cash for us. I mean, a negative 21 break even. If he can keep Paddy Ryder out of the team, then his cash is just going to keep going up and up and up. So we'll keep him in R3 for a while, I think. Josh Dunkley, moving on to the forwards. So Josh Dunkley scored 112. I mean, it's a great effort. Only 75% time on ground. A little bit concerning, but that's okay. He had 8 tackles, which is great to see. And for that 112 for a forward, you can't complain. So really happy with that. Now, Adam Treloar pumped out a 117. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest with you. He scored 95 in the first game, and then to back that up with a 117, he's looking like a really good pick in that forward line, and I'm quite happy that I ended up going with him. One I'm a little bit stuck on is Stephen Cornelio. So he hasn't scored 100 yet this season. In fact, in his first game, he only scored 87. Look, in the last game against Richmond, he gave away 3 free kicks. It was good to see him take 7 marks, and he's been laying a few tackles every game. So I don't know. His time on ground's pretty good as well. It's just there's something about Cornelio that I'm not too sure with. Him being the captain at the Giants, I think he focuses a lot more on that than his individual games. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a detriment to him. But there is a scenario that I'm going to do where I do trade him out this week. I know that sounds crazy as I'm talking about holding your premiums, but it allows me to get Brody in my team from the Fremantle, who's just got a really low break even. I think it's below 5, and he is scoring really well. And I think his time on ground is going to increase as well. So if I can get Brody in for Cornelio, that allows me to go someone like Garrett McDonough. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Up to a Naish maybe, who also has a ridiculously low break even. So that will just enable me to kickstart some money generation there to allow me to upgrade further down the line. So it's a little bit of a sacrifice for now, but when you have Brody who just outscored Cornelio, I don't know, it might be worth it. It's just a thought. Zach Butters, 137. This is exactly why we're going to keep those Carlton boys on the ground and maybe look to trade in another Carlton player, because against Hawthorn, it is ridiculously easy to score points. 137 from Butters is huge. I mean, for 21 years old, and look at that. Time on ground it's what you want. 11 tackles is ridiculous. He loves a hug. He loves a cuddle. Look at him. He's a beautiful man, but he loves to wrap his arms around other men, so it's great to see. 5 marks is also not too bad. We love that. So looking like a really good pick. And to be honest, I might be a little biased, but I like him over Heaney. So we're just going to keep him in for a while. Joshua Rochelle. This mulleted man just knows how to get it done every week. His time on ground is huge. His marking is lovely. And look, he can get 20 touches as he displayed on the weekend. So when he gets a little run through the midfield, it's just, you never know what could happen. I think he's going to be on field for a while for us. And we just got to enjoy the scores while he's in our team, I think. Moving on to Tristan X-Airy. Goodness gracious me. 92 points being the ruck at North Melbourne. What more could you want? I mean, a -5 break even. 20 touches, 24 hitouts, 5 marks, 91% time on ground. I mean, it screams F6, doesn't it? So he should get ruck status in. Well, he will get ruck status in round 6. So that's just going to add a little bit more versatility to this team. I'll be able to flick Jack Hayes forward and keep X-Airy on the bench if that's what we need. So it's looking really good. Nick Martin. He didn't play last round, but in round 1 he scored 130 points. Look, I was lucky enough to start with this kid on the bench. I made the last minute decision to actually bring him in, and I'm so glad I did because he's got a negative 44 break even, and he's just going to make loads of cash. He's already been confirmed to play round 3, so that's great to see. Look, I don't think he's going to score 130 again, but if he can score maybe a 70 from here on out, I mean, he's going to make a great amount of cash for us. So let's just keep that in mind. Yeah, look, he's versing Melbourne as his next opponent, and I don't know. They seem to be quite an easy team to score against as well. We just saw what Took did to them. I mean, he's a bit of a beast. But the week before, people scored quite well against Melbourne. So I think we're just going to leave him on the bench. I don't know if I'm going to play him over Rochelle or X-Airy, but he should make lots of money for us. Kane Baldwin, we'll probably look to trade him out some point. He was very disappointing in round 1 with that 28. I don't know. He might come back into the team for Bombers, and if so, then we'll keep him. But I don't know. He's not looking great. As you can see, those were my trades. At the beginning of round 2, I went Saligo to Sam Skinner for that debutant, and then Malira for Foley for a 22,000 price difference, and that was a bargain. Very happy with that. So yeah, that's where it leaves me. I'm ranked 2014, as mentioned at the start of the video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And yeah, super excited to make new videos for you guys.